If you use Google Sheets a lot and end up doing the same task over and over again, in this video I'll show you how you can save time and be more productive by automating your sheets with Google Apps Script. Okay, so let's start. In this video I will just show you a sample script that's pretty simple. So I have a list of leads and so I want to clean those leads and remove duplicates, and I only want to get the leads that are in the state of, let's say, Texas. So let's create a new sheet which is going to be called filtered leads. And then what we are going to do is that we are going to, well, create a script. So the first step is to create a function that will filter the rows and only get the rows which leads who are in the state of Texas. So I'm going to call this function filter rows, and then I'm going to create a variable with the spreadsheet. And so what this does is to get the spreadsheet I'm using. And then I also want to get so I'm using the ID to be sure that I'm using the right spreadsheet. So this is a method called open by ID, and then I am going to call the sheet by name because I want to be sure that well, I am using the right spreadsheet. So in this case, there's only two sheets in this spreadsheet, but when you're working with sheets with a lot of sheets and you're working with different spreadsheets, this is very useful. So then I'm going to create a variable called new sheet, and this is going to be the sheet where I'm going to add the filtered records. So the name is filtered sheet. So let's go ahead and do this. And now I'm going to get the values. So the way this works is that I'm going to open the sheet, so the sheet which is the variable sheet, and then get data range and then get the values. And then I am going to create a new variable which is going to be a variable with the filter. So the way this works is by using the filter method. So this is a method that exists in JavaScript. So if you know how to code in JavaScript, you probably know about it already. But if you're like me and you actually don't really know how to code in JavaScript, I will include some documentation about the method in the description box. So again, to use Google Apps Scripts, you you have to be familiar with coding, but you don't need to be a JavaScript expert. So no worries about this. So here what I'm doing is that I'm counting the number of rows because here the goal is to have a filter. So if the value in row 6 equals tx, then we want to include them. And if you notice here, the row index is 6, and you might be thinking, but G is the 7th letter. You're right, but in JavaScript the index starts at 0, so column G is column 6 and not column 7. So now that I say, okay, if the column 6, the item in column 6 equals tx, well, I want to return row, and this will add the row in, well, the filtered value variable. So now let's use log to see what happens. So this, what will this do is that it will add this information to well, the logs, and this is very useful when you're debugging your project if you want to see if everything is working as intended and you don't want to modify your sheet. Well, just use the log and you'll be able to see what you get. So before we run the function, this is also one thing you have to keep in mind if you have never used a script before, is that you have to give access to the script. So the way it works is the following. So as you can see here, there's a new window, and then they will ask you if you want to give this, well, entitled project access. So what you should do is click, and then, which is a little bit tricky, is that if you don't click on advanced, you don't have the option to move forward. So this is how you do it. So, and then you can give access, you can give the script authorization to run. And this is, you should also know that when you give the script authorization to run, then even if you copy the sheet or if you add somebody else on this spreadsheet, they will be able to run the script as well. So, okay, so now that we can run the sheet, well, let's run this uh, and see what we get. Okay, so as you can see, this is working because we only get the rows with, well, leads from Texas. So this is what we wanted. So this is great. Now the next step is to actually add those rows to, well, the filtered leads sheet we created. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to comment out this because this was just meant to, well, just to see if it worked. So to comment things out in Google Apps Script, you can just use two slashes, so double slash. Okay, so now let's add the filtered rows to the filtered lead sheet. So first I have to open it and get the range of the sheet. So I'm doing this using the get range method, and so with this method I have to first get the first row, and here we're using get last row plus one because since the sheet is empty, the first row index is 0, but with the get range method we need to start with 1, so the first row is 1, then the first column, which is 1 also, and then since we're using the set values to add the data in the sheet, the range we define must match the exact number of rows and columns in the values. So we're going to use the length property of the filtered rows to make sure that we get the right numbers of rows. And then we are going to do the same with the number of columns so that we are sure that this matches the range exactly. So if you want more information on how this method works, you can check out the, well, the get range method in the AppScript documentation. So now that we have defined our range, we can use the set values method to add the filtered rows to our sheet. And again, if you need more information on this method, check out the Google Apps Script documentation for more details. So now that we have everything we need, let's run this and see if it works. And yeah, so as you can see here, we only are getting the leads that are in Texas. But one thing that is wrong is that I'm noticing some duplicates. Let's check to be sure. And yes, indeed, we have some duplicates. So now the next step is going to be to write a function that can remove the duplicates as well. So to remove the duplicates, I'm actually going to use a function that was written by somebody else. And if you're not very comfortable with code, as I am, this is one way you can write your scripts. You can just look around for well functions that are already written and do what you want to do. And so then all you have to do is to understand like the basics of how it works so that you can be able to modify it for yourself. So that's what I'm doing here. So here I'm just making sure that the sheet and the data I use are the, the filtered leads sheet. So that's why I'm going to change here the name of the sheet. I'm going to get the sheet by name. And so this should ensure that now the duplicates function is going to apply to the filtered lead sheet. So let's check and let's see if we successfully remove the duplicates. Okay, so as you can see now, there's no duplicates anymore. Okay, so now that we know that a function is working, the next step is to, well, bring those two functions together. So what I'm going to do next is that I'm going to add the two functions in one function that I'm going to call clean leads. And it's pretty simple. All I have to do is to, well, first add the filter rows function, because first the rows must be added to the spreadsheet. And then before adding the remove duplicate function, I'm going to add the spreadsheet flush method. And the reason why I'm doing this is because if you don't, well, you run the risk of the remove duplicates function being run when the first filter rows function hasn't run yet. So for example, here, this is what can happen. So as you can see, I'm running the scripts and there's nothing. So that's why I'm adding spreadsheet, the flush method. And then, well, I'm adding the remove duplicates. And here we have a function. And then the last step is that, well, you you could run this function directly from the script editor, but I think it's nicer to just run it from the menu. And that's also very useful if you share the script with, I mean, you share the spreadsheet with colleagues that might not be comfortable with AppScript. And so the way we're going to do this is that we are going to use the function onOpen to create a menu when we open the spreadsheets. So first we're going to use the getUI function to be able to get, well, the user interface of the spreadsheet. And then we're going to create a menu. So first we have to give the menu a name. And then we're going to add an item to this menu. And here what we're going to do is that we are going to tie a function to a menu item. So I just have to, well, give the item a name. So this is going to be what the user is going to see, and then just add a function to it. So here, the function I'm going to add is clean leads. And finally, using the add to UI method, I can insert this into the menu of the spreadsheet. So there we go. And now let's save this and refresh our spreadsheet. And as you can see, our menu is going to appear in a few seconds. There it is. We have the cleaning menus. And then if we click on filter and remove duplicates, our script is running. Perfect. So this is it for today. This is a pretty simple script, but I just wanted to give you like an overview of what you can do with app scripts. And as always, if this video was helpful in any way, don't hesitate to like, share, subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.